Hey guys, today I got kind of an interesting story to tell because it kind of ties in with what today's vlog is about. A long time ago, right after 9/11, I went to a concert. It was a Don Henley concert, and along with David Crosby. The two of them were singing, and they sang separately, but it was a very interesting concert. It was a very special concert too, because it was for the families of the 9/11 victims. And somebody invited me to go because they had their brother pass away in one of the planes. And it was kind of a sacred night, almost a very special night. And I always liked David Crosby, and I always loved Don Henley. Don Henley was one of my favorite, but David Crosby also. Both of them very awesome singers. Both of them were my rock heroes, as you would say. But when I went to the concert, I remember sitting there and everybody was quiet. It wasn't a regular concert. It was a very special concert, you know, and everybody was there to get some solace out of what had happened. And Don Henley and David Crosby was there to kind of help pull it together for everybody and let people just go have a place to go cry and you know, let out all those feelings. And in a very special way that night. I remember being there that night, and I remember him playing the song in a New York minute. And he played it a little bit slower, it seemed like. Or maybe just time slowed down, I'm not really sure. And there wasn't a dry eye in that house. Everybody kind of just broke down and really cried and let out all their feelings, and everybody kind of needed to do that at the time. If you remember during 9/11, I think we all had, you know, a good cry for ourselves, and coming off at 9/11 again, it kind of brings that back a little bit. And I kind of treat 9/11 day as like a special day, just to kind of stay quiet and take things in. But it was also a time when I think the world lost its innocence. And actually, one of the songs that he played, I believe, if I can remember correctly, he played End of Innocence, you know, and it was just a special night, especially when they played in a New York minute. But I always look back at that concert as the day when I started thinking differently about the world losing its innocence. And the Philippines is a place that always had some innocence. The Philippines is a very special place because I came here back in the 1980s. First, it was the first time I came here, and I remember everybody being so innocent and so sweet and kind and nice. And today, the Philippines still has that, don't get me wrong. But I find that it's very different now than it was back in the 80s. And I'm sure people that were here back in the 60s and 70s will tell you the same thing, that the innocence is kind of gone here. It's not like what it used to be. You still see people that are still innocent here. You know, I run into them every day here, but it's not like what it used to be, because there was so many of them. They were so sweet and so kind, and they still are. The Filipinos are still the sweetest, kindest people. And today, I think it's just different. It's changing. And I think cell phones and, you know, the lifestyle and the news and, you know, just Wi-Fi, computers and everything has really changed the Philippines. Even out in the provinces, it seems like everybody has a phone and everybody's doing TikTok and everybody's online constantly watching movies or doing something. And it just kind of takes people away from the daily family life and the daily life here. And it has changed people. I noticed the kids here, they're still sweet and innocent, but they're not as sweet and as innocent as they once were. I think because of the phones have brought in all kinds of things that, you know, are bad for humanity and for people. And it certainly has hit the Philippines in a huge way. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I love the Philippines, but there's kind of like an underbelly now, and that underbelly is affecting the Philippines now in a big way. And I think a lot of expats are starting to see that. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. The Philippines is still a wonderful, beautiful place. But it's kind of sad to see certain things that you see here go away. And it kind of reminds me of, well, 9/11, because 9/11 changed America in a really great way. And I see that change coming here. I think 9/11 really ushered in like kind of a new America, a new world kind of, actually. And even though it was a long time ago, here, we're starting to see changes come here. And not because of a disaster or anything. I think it's just the world is just changing so drastically. And we're starting to see that here. And I'd like you guys to put your comments in there too, to put in there changes that you see here in the people. Because as much as I love the Filipino people, I do see the modernization of the Philippines changing things here. And even though we got the provinces here, I see the Philippines changing drastically fast from the 5.5 years ago that I got here till now. The Philippines has really changed. It's kind of like the end of the innocence, you know? And it really truly is the end of the innocence here in the Philippines. I think, you know, that innocence that the Philippines once has, I see it leaving. I see it kind of slowly going away. And not to say it won't always be here. It probably always will be here in some section of the Philippines. But I kind of see things leaving. People are changing, becoming more money-oriented. Although the people here are very spiritual in their own way and religious in their own way, they're even moving away from that. I think people that, you know, on Sundays here, you still see a lot of people going to church, but they don't carry anything out of that church when they leave that church. They just go to church to, you know, absolve themselves of their sins, I think, and just kind of, and I'm not trying to talk religion here, but I don't think they carry that with them through the week as much as the people that I saw back in the 80s. You know, the people had that innocence. They carried some of that Catholic, the Catholic teachings with them. And I'm not a Catholic, so, you know, I'm just speaking from what I see here. And I'm not trying to insult the people that are here or anything. I'm just telling you that I see a huge change. And part of that, I think, is that the world is changing. And when the world starts changing, there's some places that will change last. And I think that's one of the places is the Philippines, you know, and there's a few other countries out there that are still way behind. But here it's the modernization of the world, and the way things are changing in the world is certainly changing things here. And I think with the amount of Americans that are coming in here and Westerners coming in here, I think even we're changing part of that. We bring some of that bad stuff with us. And we don't realize that we're doing it, but we do it in our own way. And we take some of the things away from over here. We change it in our own way because we're around these people every day. They say if you go through a toxic relationship or something like that, your next relationship is going to be really tough because you bring a lot of bad habits with you, and you got to work your way through those bad habits. Well, we come over here when we have our we come with our toxic habits over here as expats, and we try, you know, I tell people leave those things home, but regardless of whether we leave most of them there, we always have some of that with us. It's like we had that relationship with the U.S., or we had a relationship with women back there, and some of them might not have been good, or whatever, or your relationship with the United States with the people there might not have been good, and you take some of that with you and you say, well, I'm going to start my life over here. But in your mind, you don't realize that you do carry some of that stuff with you, and you dump it over here, and the people pick up your toxic habits sometimes. And I'll be the first to admit that, you know, that even I carry stuff, you know what I mean? We all do, all of us, whether you want to admit it or not, we all have toxic habits, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to speak about that today. I thought it was kind of a cool subject. And I want you guys to leave your thoughts on this, because I think it's kind of like it's an interesting topic to talk about, because it is truly the end of the innocence throughout the world. And I think we're seeing the end of the innocence of the world in the Philippines come to an end too, as the Philippines starts to change. And you know, the Philippines will still always be a wonderful place, but I think that innocence is slowly eroding. You know, you can see it with the people. There's still many wonderful people here, don't get me wrong, but I do see it eroding slowly. and I love the Filipino people, and I love the United States for that matter, you know, but the innocence is gone, you know, and I hope there's some way that somehow the world can get that back, you know. And I just thought an interesting topic today. I was thinking about this today, and I says, you know what? I haven't done any videos on stuff like this. Usually we do teaching videos and stuff like that. And I have 1,400 videos and I've taught all this stuff. I am going to dig some more of those things back up to talk about them again. But I did want to, I just had this feeling to talk about this today. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. God bless, guys.